Welcome back to Final Fantasy XIV. Back here on the Prima Vista, where we want to continue the Ivalice questline, potentially into the next wait. My power, my pleasure, my pain. Ridorana is proving to be quite the enigma. With every answer comes countless new questions. This may take longer than I expected. But you are doubtless eager to know why I requested your presence. Our resident dramaturge mentioned there was something he wished to ask of you. As my work here is far from complete, I wondered if you might not indulge the man while you wait. There's few so loath to take the rest than venturers without a quest. For shorn of work to give them worth, they soon become a source of mirth. Adventure will find me. Ha, but it has, my friend, it has. My colleague tell me that if one of this land ever needs an item fetched, then you are the woman to speak with. I find this philanthropic compulsion fascinating, and so, in the interest of research into my next play, let's say I seek to put said compulsion to test. Assuming you're a gamer, of course. Bring me a bottle of wine. But not just any wine. Make it rose-themed, and make it Eorzean. I've had my fill of the bitter blends over here in the east. Where to start? Oh, if only there were some port where first the Eorzeans went for their wine. You would surely be there speaking with its foremost blind Lalafell and Vintner, and not here with me. Shimani, in Wineport. Understood. Shamani. Soy and spice, bring it with a subtle soup con of a steppe. You have traveled far, my friend. What is it you seek here in Wineport? A rose-themed wine. You would be hard-pressed to find a wine that did not display some hint of rose, so we can assume that your client was not referring to a desired bouquet. Perhaps a name or label, or a bottle. Yes, I seem to recall a certain vintage Eorzean sold in crystal bottles with a single red rose on the label. Alas, I have nothing as rare as among my personal stock. As for who might? Well, there's always buyer glance, I suppose. Bah, only an uncultured fool would select a wine based solely on its bottle. As it happens, however, said fool would be undeservingly rewarded with one of Wilburn's best wines, were to select a vintage suit Vietnia. Not that your client would have a palate to properly appreciate its depth and complexity. But let us dispense with a pretext. You are the fool in question, do not bother to deny it. A fool who has aimed too high. One of your standing could live 1,000 lifetimes and still not amass the wealth required to purchase even an empty bottle. Oh, the price is no object, is it? Even if I believed you, and I do not, I have a reputation to uphold as a vintner and viticulturist. If my clients to learn that I peddled the choice of my collection to the likes of you, they would never do business with me again. Alright, just to the back of you. I shall do the kindness of directing your steps unto one who might take pity on your plight, assuming he does not find amusement in it. Master Gegeruge, you have costed a soul, but do not tell him I sent you. Serenia, always a pleasure, and I do mean that. My leads inform me you come inquiring after a bottle of Sud Viantia. But I told them they must be mistaken. Not even you would be foolish enough to think you could... Oh, you are serious. Serena, you do realize one could purchase an entire estate in Mist for the price of a single bottle? Or 5 estates for the price of 5 bottles, which happens to be the number of bottles of Sud Viantia I have in my collection. No, I'm not an unreasonable man. Let none say the venerable Gegeruju does not value a friendship as deep as one you and I have forged. So, in my boundless generosity, I offer you the opportunity for a trade. A bottle of vintage Sud Viantia for a magnum of Finder Muscan. Never heard of the stuff? They thought I was talking to fellow connoisseur. I pity the poor vintner back in Wineport who will have to educate you. Until then, my friend, the offer stands. Back to Shamani. First Sudvindia, and now the Muscan wine? Might I interest you in an aged Luminson rat instead? No, I thought not. Well, then you have your work cut out for you. There was a time the Muscan one was fairly easy to procure, even here in Wilbrand, but that was before the Empire raised the better part of a kingdom, vineyards and all. If there are any surviving bottles, it would be those that were exported before the Imperial invasion. Over 30 summers past, though I've not encountered any in a decade or more, either at auction or in private hands. Collectors are covetous creatures. If one were to somehow acquire a bottle, there's little chance he would willingly part with such a treasure, which leaves only those brought over by the few Damascan refugees who fled to Eorzean. We're going to Dresd. Man, but it's been a while since we've been here. Can't sleep, they won't let me. The witches won't let me, they bust and they scream. Please calm down, good man. I know you were here before. You sent away the witches. They came back though. They always come back. They mock me, tell me I can never go home. I just want to go home. I can't stand it here anymore. Wine? My wife loved wine. We would drink a glass of Valence every night before sunset. She would always keep the cork. I always thought that odd. What good is a cork? Toss it in a midden heap along with a bottle, I'd say. But she... Or you find several empty wine bottles among the rubbish. One in particular calls out to you. Take it to Shamani Lomani to confirm its origin. How is Dresd? I do hope your visit did not disquiet the poor soul. So you have brought me an empty bottle. Ah, but what is this? The cork remains in place. That is most fortunate. If an adequate seal was made, may still be traces of wine within. May I? Flamboyant yet elegant. A thought-provoking blend of cursory beans and cinnamon with a hint of... Is that rosemary? A veritable kaleidoscope of both opulence and refinement. Long has been since I last encountered a bouquet of such complexity, yet I recall it as if it was yesterday. Without question, this bottle once held a Damascan Learmont, read by the name of Valence. To think I would have the opportunity to experience it again after so many summers. But I suspect Master Rouge will not be satisfied with a sniffer's eye. Now, one without scruples might see the empty bottle as a basis for a ruse. One man's ruse is another man's keikaku. What? Over the years, I have had numerous dealings with the Lord of Costa del Sol, and while he is many things, an expert on wines is not one of them. Not that it wouldn't matter if he were. Men of his standing invariably find more joy in boasting of their acquisition than in consuming them. In all likelihood, Master Rouge will never even open the bottle, rendering the provenance of its contents practically irrelevant. Ah, but where are my manners? These forays back to western climes always bring out the barbarian in me. It's a pleasure, Serenia, lest you wonder at my presence here. My employers see promise in the Hingan wine trade and desire the establishment of a viable route betwixt east and west. I've come to see their plan to fruition. But turning to your dilemma, I believe that I may be of assistance. I just so happen to have on my person several samples of bottles of Hingan wine, made with grapes similar to those found in Damascus. For a close acquaintance, I would be more than willing to part with one, that she might fill her empty vessel. But that would be unjust. As a maker of wine, I cannot allow it. Master Rouge has chosen more of his clients than he can count. How do you think the man amassed his fortune? By playing fair? Would that the world were thus? But I'm here to tell you it's not. So it's decided then, we shall employ deceit as our morally justified means to a happy end? Wait, this is a fool's errand. And let us be glad our quarry is a fool himself. Now, if you excuse me, I must go and tell the gentle denizens of Wineport why they should be drinking Hingan. Good day. I saw nothing. Nothing at all. Yeah. I know nothing either. By the gods, you actually found one? A bottle of Damascus wine? We must uncork it right away. Ah yes, a lush bouquet of herbaceous dignification, coupled with earthen undertones and so forth. In short, the very epitome of a Damascus wet. Yes, you have outdone yourself this time, Serenia. The promise is a promise. Ladies, the bottles of Sud Viantia, if you please. Take whichever you fancy, except for one with a rose. That's my favorite, or whichever you fancy. They say a rose is a rose is a rose. So tell me, adventurer, is that a rose in your pocket, or are you simply here for small talk? A vintage wine, so rare and so expensive. You can't help but stop and wonder why you Just don't drink it yourself and give a wandering dramaturge a bottle of Lanosian red. A bottle of vintage Sudvinia? You never cease to amaze. But what is most amazing is your impeccable sense of timing. Today marks the 12th anniversary of the day I met my dear wife. If there was one thing she loved more than wine, it was roses. Would that you were here today to... but I jest. My wife is very much alive. In fact, she's been here with us all along. Darling, would you care to join us? For me? How thoughtful, but did you... forget the most important gift of all? Of course not. Bacon bread, the perfect companion to the perfect wine. For my perfect companion. He just switched jobs. Oh, darling, I think this might be our best anniversary yet. Very funny. That played out better than I imagined. I suppose I have you to thank, adventurer. Oh, it was a bacon bread that sealed the... Ah yes, is that Principal Jeromis I hear calling? Perhaps he's made some progress with his research and requires your assistance? You'd had best not keep him waiting. I hope these fast few turns of the sun have proved as productive for you as they have for us. We have much to share. Ridorana is the name of both a massive gap in the southern Vilnad Sea and the lighthouse once manned by the Royal Dalmascan Navy to prevent ships from succumbing to the cataract's currents. As Stress once manned, as the tower has lain empty since its candle keeps abandoned their post after the fall of Rabanastre. But if Faris Sirius offers any indication of what can befall a lighthouse in the absence of its caretakers... Yes, the real question is how all of this ties in with the Evalician legend. A cursory examination of a Zodiac Brave story reveals no mention of a Ridorana. Yet, it seems foolish to assume that the name could not change in the centuries since the tale was writ. So I thought to cross-reference texts on modern Isabadian history with our translations of the Durai papers. And after an exhaustive re-examination of my ancestors' notes, I discovered that there was not a single entry on Ridorana. And while mention of a Vilnad Sea was abundant, I found no reference whatsoever to any cataract or lighthouse within its waters. Ramses' discovery prompted me to examine the mystery from a different perspective. What if there were no mystery at all? What if, at the time of the Delita's rise, the chasm did not yet exist? There's more, but only a visit to the lighthouse will enable us to confirm our theories with any certainty. The Ridorana lighthouse lies far from civilization. You would be wise to provision for what to appear in Hingashi. I'm prepared. Of course. Fly away, Prima Vista. Fly. The Ridorana Lighthouse. Something is very wrong here. Maybe it's best if we split our fellowship into two parties. One to delve into the tower's depths, and one to observe from afar. As acting expedition sub-leader, I appoint you captain of the first. You may use your spyglass to aid in your search for the missing lizard. Damn it, brother, where are you? The location appears to offer an adequate view. Climb up and scan the area for any signs of backgammon. You found him? Let me see. He needs our help. Prince Wrestler, Lady Ashelia, I know you cannot forgive me. Nor should you. It's all my fault. I could not save you. Could not save anyone. Anyone but myself. I'm so sorry. Backgammon, wait! Traitors, have you no pride? You treat with the very man who laid waste to our homeland. You're mistaken, brother. There are no Imperials here. We've come to help. know what I see. My own kin sided with the enemy. How dare you stay my audience of a princess? The Duma! It has him, Kubo. It's showing him what he wants to see. Witch. Murderess. Gunfire? Agamnan! So this is the end. Recite the words, satisfy the covenant, relinquish thy soul unto me, and be granted that which thou desirest most in all the world. Sword in hand, a warrior clutches stone to breast. Look at me, brother! Look at me! In sword, etched he his fading memories. Don't you die! Not yet! In stone, his tempered skill. We promised we would all go together when our time came. You can't leave us here. By sword attested, by stone revealed. That light, where have I seen it? Oh no! Whatever are you doing? You need to leave the lighthouse right away. Right away, do you hear? We're leaving. It's as we feared then. Agamnon's soul is lost. As much as I wish it were otherwise, I fear Agamnan is beyond saving. Yet we cannot suffer what's left of him to become a distraction. Father, is now not the time to abandon this quest? We are meddling with forces beyond... Enough, Alma. We adults are talking. But so when you were searching for the lizard, I inspected an area of exposed foundation at the base of a lighthouse. And you were right, Father. The lighthouse was built squarely atop the ruins of what can only be the clockwork city of Gork. The Whatwork City of who? According to the Zodiac Grave story, the Clockwork City of Gork was a metallic metropolis where in airships, automata, and other technological marvels of the age were first conceived. Little is said about its location, however, save that it's far away. While the Durai papers do not say a great deal more, they do mention that the land upon which the legendary city was built was severely limited, an inconvenience that forced its inhabitants to build up rather than out. Which led me to ask myself, what if the reason land was limited was because the land in question was an island? But that would still not explain the omission of a cataract. It is inconceivable that the authors would neglect to mention so prominent a landmark had it existed. Then I found it. A lone passage regarding Gork's fall. Where the particulars were missing, it appears the city was abandoned after an explosion left half of it in ruins. I believe that this explosion may have undermined a portion of the seabed. It need only have been a small area at first, one that could have well gone unnoticed during the Exodus. As time passed, however, the waters would have continued to wear away at the rock, slowly widening the gap until we have what lies beneath us today. This would explain why there is no mention of Ridorana prior to the present era. Come, Father, will you not tell us from the rest of the possibility that the Gallians are descended in part from the displaced citizens of Gork? It would explain how the Empire was able to forge its armies of iron even before the discovery and application of Allagan technology. It may also explain why the legend of Ivalice has resonated with our people for centuries, despite the fact that the Lost Kingdom was, as far as we can tell, in quite a different corner of the world. An interesting, if somewhat ambitious theory. But to return to your original claim, it is your belief that the Ridorana lighthouse stands atop what is left of that necklace. Where did you get it, girl? This? It was my mother's. Your mother's? It was my late wife's most cherished possession. Why do you ask? That Gamnan had a talisman he would wear beneath his jerkin. He refused to take it off even when bathing. He said it was special. I only saw it a few times, but it looked exactly like the one your daughter wears. And? What are you implying, Lizard? That my sister stole it? Or my late mother? Neither. I spoke of a similarity. That is all. Can you believe the nerve of this boy? Enough, Ramsar. Our guests were merely concerned for the well-being of their kin. But what of our kin? What of them, Ramsar? Do you imagine our kin to be better than theirs in some way? Or anyone else's for that matter? I apologize, Father. We have but one purpose, son, and that is to prove the existence of Ivalice and clear our family name. Do not allow anger and hate to lead you from the path. Now, we have a lost city to explore. And with that, we unlock the Ridorana Lighthouse. But we won't do that this episode because it's running long. Until next time, I am Mace, and don't get lost.